Hi, Uri.
Hey man, thanks for having me. Sorry, tech is hard.
Oh,
As somebody who has a tech startup, tech is hard.
it's all right. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure having you as well. Oh, yeah, our pleasure. Yeah, so shall we begin? Or are we expecting...
Let's do this. I think I saw some people who said like they'll join, so they'll probably join us through that. But some people are on time here, so we can chat on interesting stuff in the meanwhile.
Yeah. So for some of our astronauts who may not know much about, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, bloXroute. Am I correct?
You're actually pronouncing it perfectly. And I have to say, for all the people in the crowd, when you do a project and when you start a company, figuring out a cool name is cool, but also think about whether it's easy or hard for people to pronounce. Like if I were to start with bloXroute, it was 5 years ago, bloXroute, we were routing blocks. I'll tell you all about it. But it was kind of like, it's hard to say bloXroute. It's kind of like, so next time I'm calling my next startup, I'll call something else.
Well, I think it's a very it's a memorable name. Just it's because a lot of people might not know the proper pronunciation for it, but I think it's a very cool name. Yeah. So for a lot of our members who may not know bloXroute, can you please give a brief introduction about bloXroute and also, of course, yourself, how you got into crypto? Let's start the stage by asking this, just touching the water a little bit before we dive deeper.
Sure, happy to. So I'm Uri, I'm the CEO and co-founder of bloXroute, and we're called bloXroute because we route blocks and transactions. I'll tell you all about it in a second. bloXroute is actually the crown jewel of my PhD dissertation. So I have a PhD in computer science, more specifically computer networks, and even more specifically, the blockchain network layer. So me and my then advisor and our co-founder, Professor Kuzmanovic, started bloXroute together because we understood we can propagate transactions and blocks extremely fast. Nowadays, we propagate blocks and transactions close to the speed of light, like 150 milliseconds to propagate it around the world. And when we just got started, we were actually thinking about scalability and how you could use that to make larger blocks, etc. But when the DeFi summer hit in 2020, we kind of had an oh shit moment when we're like, wait, we're allowing our customers to see transaction faster. We're allowing them to see blocks faster. We allow them to send their own transaction faster to miners and mining pools. So we allow them to make better trades. It's like Flash Boys for DeFi. Flash Boys are the people who connected New York and Chicago, right? And if price crashes in New York and you're 1 millisecond faster than everybody else, so you're the first one to reach Chicago and you sell it there before everybody else, then you make better trades. So we're kind of like that, but for DeFi, right? We're connected to 1,000 different nodes under Ethereum, under Polygon, under BSC, now expanding to Solana. So basically, we allow our users and our customers to see information faster, execute faster, execute privately, so other people in the MEV space, MEV bots, etc., don't see their transactions, etc. So the TLDR of what we do is that we're at the network layer and we're allowing people to trade better.
Gotcha. So am I safe to assume that you've been in crypto for a very, very long time?
It's funny because I got really deep into crypto in 2016 or so. And I remember going to Consensus in New York. And, getting into the room, and, it was just like the price of ETH was was skyrocketing, etc. And I was thinking, damn it, I'm too late. Like everybody in this room are rich except for me. And they're like, I joined crypto, but I joined it too late. Like everybody already took, you could buy Bitcoin at $7 or the $100 before that, but it was already at the time $1,000, etc. So like I was feeling I was late into crypto, but after a while you realize it's not. It just did, like, for how many cycles you've been around. So I've been around for a while, not an OG like the people of 2013 or 2011, etc. But I've been here for around for a while.
I think being early is not the key to success, especially in this space, right? To be honest, I first received my Bitcoin back in 2013. I'm part of the OGs, if you will. But unfortunately, I wasn't smart enough because, especially in the early days, you don't actually know the importance of remembering your own private keys, having second backup. So I received my first 10 Bitcoins. I remember translating some documents at Deep Web, and people pay me via Bitcoins, right? But unfortunately, my big brain and I decided, oh, that's not
going to work.
Yeah. So
yeah, a lot of these stories. Like I know, like somebody who did his PhD with me, Marcel, who was in my lab, was kind of like, I was starting to get deep into crypto. And he's like, yeah, I have a hard drive somewhere with like 500 Bitcoins, I think, or like that. But kind of like, I should, or maybe it wasn't. It was like maybe 5,000. A decent amount, which at the time was like, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000 total, something like that. Like I have that, but yeah, it's somewhere. I have no idea where that is. It's not just such a big deal. And then look at it in retrospect, like 5 years later, kind of like, why did I not get it back, or realizing that I lost it? I should have taken $5,000 and put it into Bitcoin at like accept the loss and kind of like move forward. And I think a lot of people missed on that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So back to the topic of getting into crypto, right? So for bloXroute, you guys are a blockchain distribution network that utilizes a global network of servers to optimize network performance. You guys obviously
hold on. Let me stop you right there. All of that is true, but it sounds like super pompous, right? You're like, oh, we're and I'm coming from academia, so I like to do pompous wording, games and whatnot. But like the TLDR is super simple. Like we have servers all around the world, and these servers are very, very fast. Okay, we optimize them. They're very well connected. They're connected to important other nodes, so they hear about information fast. And basically, if you send us a transaction, we'll send it to the rest of the world close to the speed of light. And if you want to hear about other transactions because you're a trader or you're an MBV searcher or whatever, or you're a market maker on Binance or Coinbase, you don't even touch DeFi, but you need to see all the transactions as they happen. You want to see what's happening in the market. So we do that. Okay, we're enablers. We're allowing people to send and receive extremely fast. And I think the really cool thing, like you're like, okay, infrastructure, that's kind of cool, and you send it fast. Like, how is that helpful? The big, I think, insight that we had was understanding that if you're a competitive actor in TradFi or CFI, right, then you need to be connected to something like 8 points around the world. You need to be connected to New York, Chicago, London, Japan, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Amsterdam. I'm missing somebody. That's 7. But like basically that. You need to co-locate with them. All the information is there. You need to execute there. Here from there. That's the entire world from your perspective. But if you're in DeFi, then critical information could come from anywhere, right? Somebody could be sending a transaction, selling 1,000 ETH on Uniswap, and you need to see this information super fast, okay? You're a market maker on Coinbase or on Binance, or you're a trader, and if there's a transaction coming from Australia or Europe or the US or China or wherever, and it's coming in, it's going to change the price, and you must see it fast if you want to be competitive. Okay, like this is like, you need to be connected to the entire network, and actually multiple networks, right? That transaction could happen on Polygon or ETH or BSC or Solana, and you can't just connect with everybody. They're not willing to connect with you. And this is where we come in, right? We're kind of like the network layer that connects everybody together. So at the core of our business is really focused on the professional traders, less, the mass market, less the retail, to an example. So that's where we make most of our money. But because DeFi is that important for us, it's important for us to provide tooling and ways to benefit for people who aren't Jump or, I don't know, Wintermute or CMS or any of the others, right? I want you and me, when we're making transactions, I don't want to get my transaction get front run by MEV searchers. I don't want my NFT mint to always lose to the bot, I don't know, somewhere, etc. Like every time I do it, like I get, right? So it's kind of like, it's not where we make most of our money, but it is critical and important for us to provide tools that allow everybody to make better trades.
Gotcha. So with that sentiment, you guys have built up the fastest mempool data, and also you guys help to reduce 50% in propagation times.
Right.
Yeah, I read through your website before this. Man, just
good job, man.
Just wanted to highlight some of the highlights for the audience. But what made you decide to build bloXroute in a sense?
So that's actually a somewhat cool story. Okay, I was a software engineer back in Israel, and I was a bit frustrated with it, because if you're a software engineer, then you're working in the industry. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you come back pretty late at night. And me and my wife used to joke that, the work get you at all the good hours, right? Like when you're energized and can do stuff, etc. And my then girlfriend, now wife, and like your family or your social life gets you, early in the morning and late at night when you're grumpy and tired and don't want to do anything. So with that, we're like, okay, I thought I'll try to go to academia. So I started my PhD here at Northwestern University, because academia is super fun. You do all sorts of like weird projects, which you can you play with it for a year, then you go do something else, and you can do it late at night. You have tons of flexibility. So I was really, really geared towards going to academia. It wasn't even a question. Of course, I'm going to finish my PhD and then go be a professor at the university or something. And then me and Alex had a research project which we pivoted into crypto and the blockchain space, and then got to look deeper and deeper and came with this idea of bloXroute and faster propagation, etc. And we're sitting at Alex's office and we're thinking, looking at the whiteboard, and listen, this is $1 billion idea, not $1 million, $1 billion. And we kind of have to do it. It's not a question of whether you want to do it or not. Here is a giant life-changing opportunity that you were lucky to be in the right spot, in the right time, with the right background to see it where other people don't, etc. And well, now we kind of like have to do it. You can't say no to like, oh, here's an idea that is worth $1 billion. So we started a company, and then we started to hire people. And before you know, it's 5 years later. I finished my PhD. I'm a CEO and co-founder. Like, if you would have told me in the past, 10 years ago, that I'm going to be an entrepreneur, not only I would laugh at you, I would be offended. No. Entrepreneurs are a bunch of assholes.
Oh, God.
No, I'm a software engineer. I'm with the geeks. I'm with the good guys. I'm not an entrepreneur. No. I'm one of the good guys. But before you know it, you have an idea and you share with others, and you come up with ideas how to build it different and better, and one thing lead to another. And now, almost 5 years later, we recently closed a round led by SoftBank, where we raised something like $75 million. Like all of a sudden, it's a big deal, and $1 billion isn't like, at this point, I'm looking at much higher and bigger numbers.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. I can totally get the like, for an engineer not imagining himself or herself being an entrepreneur's shoes, because what usually for a lot of engineers, they have the pride of, oh, I'm just going to build the best product. But speaking of your product, just wanted to make sure, because I'm not, by looking at bloXroute, I'm just thinking that how you guys deliver the mempools, because usually WebSockets are technically faster but less reliable. But so how do you guys?
So let's break it down into our value proposition for the professional actors and professional traders that are using us, and some of them are our largest customers like pay us, I don't know, between $15,000 and $30,000 a month. Okay, like for very specific features, etc. So we have these services, and we have more retail like DexGuard and Fast Protect, which we'll also cover. So starting with where your question, yes, it's not about WebSockets. Like, it's kind of like, okay, you listen and we provide you the data. If you're a trader, you run your own node, then your node is connected to a bunch of other nodes, right? Basically randomly selected. If you know what you're doing, then you spend time optimizing it and connect it to important and better ones. But still, you're connected to a bunch of other nodes who connected to others, etc. But you're not connected, let's say, to F2Pool and like Ethermine and any of the other large mining pools, because they're not willing to connect with you. Okay, so when a new block comes and it has new data, okay, it has an Oracle transaction which would liquidate your positions if you saw it, or allow you to liquidate somebody else, or it's the top, or what you want to sell, or it's the bottom, whatever. It has information there that you want to see, but that would be sent from their node to the nodes that they're connected to, and from there to the nodes they're connected to, and another hop, and then it would reach you. That would take, I don't know, half a second to a second, something like something like between, I think the average would be 0.6 seconds, but it could be, if you're using, let's say, I don't know, Infura or Alchemy or something like that, we're talking even much longer time periods. And so when we hear information, we broadcast it to everybody who connected to us. So it's not connected to, using WebSockets or whatever to connect to our servers, because you could use, I don't know, WebSocket to connect to a node as a service provider. It's about hearing it directly from the source. We receive the block. As we receive it, we're already sending it on the other end. So by the time we finish receiving it, we already sent the rest of it. So we're really about like cutting down propagation and the number of hops, et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about speed, it's not about, like, the way we achieve it is actually not very visible for you. We do all the hard work on our end. So our servers has the best topology, and they do cut through routing. So they receive on one hand and send it on the other. And we started by connected to the traders and the mining pools, etc. And now we have this cool network effect that the more people who connect to us, the faster we become, because we hear more information from the source. And the faster we become, more people connect to us, etc. So that kind of like feeds itself. So it really isn't about the WebSocket. It's about like we have an entire infrastructure that we've been building for over 4 years to kind of like to achieve. It's not as fast, it's not at the speed of light, but it's not that far off from it. And I was actually in Paris for ETHCC and met somebody from Cloudflare, which we spoke with them in the past about like utilizing and working together to kind of like utilize, touching the iron, right? Really bare metal infrastructure, etc. So we got reconnected, and we'll see, can we shave off another 10 milliseconds or something like that, which would be like huge. But that's kind of like, this is how we're fast. It's not about the website, it's about our infrastructure. But I think, and again, and for our professional traders who run their own trading operations, etc., this is incredible. Okay, some of our customers explain to us how they can see every 50 milliseconds on their P&L. Like they need to see information fast, they need to act fast, etc. For the more, again, let's call them retail, but basically you and me, right? It's kind of like, I don't have it. I run a company which provide infrastructure, but I don't have a trading infrastructure myself. I trade on top of Uniswap or Hashflow or whatever, like everybody else. So for people like us, we do have a few services that they might find useful, right? So I think the first is DexGuard. Okay, basically, when you send a transaction and you want to trade on Uniswap, you're like looking at the price there. Price of ETH is, let's say, I don't know, I didn't look today, but let's say $1,500 or something like that. And you want to trade, let's say you want to buy 10 ETH, but you're willing to accept they're going to be some change. I'm not even talking about slippage, just basically, but maybe by the time your transaction goes through, other transactions already moved the price, so it's not $1,500, it's $1,500.05 or something like that. And you don't want your transaction to fail, so you're willing to accept that. You're saying like, I'm willing to buy up to the price of $1,505. But that transaction is now vulnerable to MEV bots, which are looking at the mempool, looking for these transactions, say, well, this guy is willing to buy at 1505. I can buy at 15 and sell him at 1505 and profit. So everybody's transaction, and maybe me by myself is not worth it, but maybe there are 10 transactions like me right now in the mempool, or I don't know, potentially 100. And some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. But then an MEV actor or MEV searcher would look at that and say, oh, maybe I can order them this way. And basically the gap or the buffer I added there to avoid my transaction failing would be used against me. So every time I would guess the worst price. Or maybe it goes the other way around. Maybe I'm willing to pay $1,500, but maybe by the time my transaction execute, the price just went down. So the price is no longer $1,500, it's $1,450. And then I was going, well, this guy was willing to pay $1,500, so he would sell it to me, right? So it would go there, increase the price, allow my transaction to execute, and then sell on the other side, and basically take advantage of me. And there's very little that I can do about it. And so we came up with the idea a long time ago at this point of private transactions. We can send transactions that never hit the mempool. Okay, I'm sending it, instead of sending it out there and everybody can see it and everybody can front run it and sandwich it and try to take advantage of me, these transactions are propagated directly to the mining pools that we work with. We're working with, 95% of the hash power in Ethereum. And again, 80% of the validators on Polygon and like most of the validators on BSC, which again, there it's more about speed and not about like something like DexGuard. But DexGuard in the context of Ethereum allows people to avoid these transactions by propagating privately. So it never hits the mempool. It just go directly to the mining pools. They don't broadcast it either. Okay, so they keep it to themselves until it's being mined. So this allows people to make trades which don't get front run. Now, we're offering this as a paid service. Okay, basically, we're accepting fee for that. We're paying for the mining pool. We're saying to the mining pool, oh, don't show it to the rest of the world. So maybe you can make like a profit with like the MEV would allow you to capture some of that value. We'll pay you that. And kind of like, so we're kind of like passing most of the payment there. And so, but if you want to try it out, you can sign up for bloXroute through basically go to DexGuard. DexGuard, wait, I'm conflating. That's Fast Protect and DexGuard. You could use Uniswap and SushiSwap as is. Okay, instead of just trading on top of going to app.uniswap.org, co, whatever the domain is, Google DexGuard, connect your wallet, trade through that, and instead of your transaction get front run, your transaction is private. It can't go there. Does that make sense?
Yep, of course. So
and then just one more word. So that's kind of like DexGuard. People, instead of trading on top of Uniswap, should be trading on top of DexGuard and not get front run. But DexGuard just give you access to Uniswap and SushiSwap. Fast Protect is kind of like the same idea, but you can take it everywhere. Okay, so you'll connect to our RPC point. Transaction never hit the mempool, and you could use, whether you use Maker, basically any DeFi product that you use, you could use us. Okay, instead of that. So instead of having your transaction go through MetaMask to Infura to the mempool and get front run, it would go through us to the mining pools, never get front run, never being seen in the mempool. And you can try it out now. Like you can sign up, I think we have a promotion together. So if you put like a Galaxy in the name of the company when you sign up to create a new account, you will get like a free balance to go and try it out, get your transaction, avoid front running, etc.
Gotcha. So
did that all make sense, or was that really fast and really a lot and like scrambled?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Well, it makes sense to you. It probably makes sense to most people. So. Just like want to make sure if you got it, then like I think the audience is like as clever as me and you, so they should probably get it too.
Yeah. So I also like to touch. Because most, as you mentioned, your product is mostly suitable for the DeFi traders and also large companies that need to receive the block information as quickly as possible. What other future applications do you guys are aiming to build? Are you guys aiming to build on top of?
So we have two things. One which is actually already ready is our NFT trader application. So basically, if you're trading NFTs and you're minting, and the same thing exactly. If you want your transaction to go through and don't get front run and sandwich, etc. So basically, use the same. It's a very similar mechanism to use our infrastructure to avoid front running and other people taking advantage of your trade. And you could send a transaction. If it doesn't go through, then you don't pay the gas, etc. So all these kind of stuff, which is very valuable. But again, go Google NFT trader. Again, through using the Galaxy promotion, you could get like a free balance and kind of like to get and check it out. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Something super interesting is happening. I'm sure everybody on here are very much aware of the merge and Ethereum moving to POS. Okay, POS is a super big deal. I'm not sure how many are aware that this is very likely coming within 2 months. Okay, so this is it's not I remember speaking about it with Vitalik in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of this is come within a year and a half. It's it's been 5 years and didn't happen yet. But they're like, this is actually coming very soon. But the MEV game, the idea of what's happening with front running and back running, etc., which is very dominant today. A lot of people are talking about MEV, understanding what it means, actually being affected by it, etc. The MEV game is going to change drastically with the merge. Okay, there's a concept called PBS, which is proposer builder separation, which Vitalik is proposing, and the Flashbots team is kind of spearheading, which basically means that instead of the current MEV game, where people make transactions and MEV searchers try to front run them or sandwich them or capture arbitrage or whatever it is that they're doing, and then try to send these bundles to the validators, to the mining pools, because currently we're still at proof of work. Once the merge happens, then the game changes. And all of a sudden, validators are producing blocks. And the way it's going to play out is that we're going to have a new entity called block builder. Okay, a block builder is somebody who tries to build a block. Okay, let's say I see all the transactions and I say, well, I'll try to front run this transaction and back run that transaction, sandwich this transaction, capture this arbitrage, and eventually, if I was capable of producing the next block, I would earn, let's say, 3 ETH. And so I'm going to propose this block. I'm going to send it to the validator and say, if you build this block, I would pay you, let's say, 2.5 ETH, okay, or 2.9 ETH. I will basically bribe them. I would offer them most of the MEV value. I will just capture a small piece of this. And these block builders now compete who can offer the best block, okay, who can build the most MEV efficient, optimizing, most extracting value block. And each, I'll try, bloXroute will run a block builder and would try to offer one. Flashbot would run another. Block Native would run a third. Probably maybe some of their validators would run their own. But basically, whoever does the best job at extracting MEV would be able to pay the most to the validator, and their blocks would get produced or proposed. Now, that's pretty serious from my perspective. I hope this was clear. Basically, it means that it's institutionalizing or ingraining, or I'm not sure what the right verb for this, but basically making part of the way Ethereum works, trying to front run and back run and do all these kind of stuff, which is a major shift from my perspective. It's something the community should be discussing, etc. Anyway, this is happening with the merge right now, and people are going to run block builders. And we had an idea. We were coming and trying to say, does it make economic sense to build, let's call them good block builders, okay? Block builders which don't front run. In the world of MEV, there are a few, there's basically two important MEV pieces. There's front running and there's capturing arbitrage. And we're saying maybe we can build a block builder which only does arbitrage, but doesn't front run. Okay, so we're trying to build blocks, we're receiving transaction, etc., but we don't front run them. We never front run them. We always try only to do back running or capturing arbitrage, which doesn't hurt the user. And is it possible for such a strategy to be better and more efficient, and because it seems to be better for everyone, than let's call it a predatory block builder, which is front running and kind of like, the thing that we just described earlier, where your transaction would get screwed over because you'll be getting a higher price and somebody else would take a piece of your profit or your value. And so, to our pleasant surprise, we're speaking with quite a lot of validators. So we're talking with staking pools and the major validators out there, which are running a lot of validators for other people and for themselves. And it seems like there is a lot of interest in this. Okay, it seems like a lot of people are saying like, yes, I would rather, and when I say people, I mean validators. A lot of validators think I'm willing to accept blocks which pay me a bit less, but it provides more value to the ecosystem. Because, if I'm a validator, I probably have a lot of stake and I'm betting on Ethereum. So I have economic incentive for front running not to happen. So we're kind of like exploring that. We're running a block builder. We're working with Flashbot. We're working with all the major validators. We're speaking with Lido, speaking with others. That's kind of like very top of mind for us. Did that make sense, or was that long and exhausting?
No, it made perfect sense. I mean, because a lot of people are looking into mempools in the perspective of proof of work, but with the upcoming transition to proof of stake, I think especially for a lot of Ethereum miners, I think there's still a lot of debate on this, whether we should go proof of stake or to remain proof of work. But I think ideally, what you guys are building make total sense, especially for the market, right? So for a lot of people who don't understand the concept of proof of stake, basically the validators are all, I would say, randomly chosen based on how much ETH you have, or how much stake you have, right? So having the best, as you mentioned, block builders are totally essential for the growth of the proof of stake ecosystem.
Yeah, so I think at this point, like the proof of stake is not a question. It's kind of like, okay, we already, like Ethereum already upgraded all of its testnets, and now like Gorelli is coming up, not all of them. So Gorelli is the last testnet, which is going to be upgraded soon. And then we're talking about actual mainnet, Ethereum, moving to proof of stake very, very soon, potentially in September. Okay, and we're already like August 1st. So this is like next month. So this is super major and big. And we're doing our part in kind of like thinking through the implications of moving to proof of stake.
Gotcha. So speaking of bloXroute, so for Project Galaxy, we actually launched a special campaign for our users. So basically, it's a DeFi educational campaign. So would you like to speak more about that, Uri?
Absolutely. So basically, going back to what I said earlier, we have think of it as 3 different offerings. One, go to DexGuard. Okay, just Google DexGuard, like dexguard.io, and go there. Connect your wallet. You can trade through that, and that's basically like you don't need to do anything, no balance needed, nothing like that. Basically, just save it instead of trading on top of Uniswap. Trade there and save yourself getting front run. It's just like it's a no-brainer. That's like super easy. Specifically for the Galaxy campaign, etc., we have the second piece, which I mentioned, the fast protect, okay? While DexGuard just give you access to Uniswap and SushiSwap, Dex Protect basically means you take this protection, Fast Protect basically means you take it with you wherever you go, whatever you do. All your transactions are private. When you use this RPC point, two cool things happen. One, your transactions doesn't get front run. And two, which is pretty cool, we would look if there is back running value. Okay, maybe you've made the transaction, and just like there's front running to capture value before the transaction happened, there's back running. Can we capture value after your transaction happened? And if there is, we'll pay you half of it back. So like whoever does the search, like by using this RPC point, basically you will be picking up the money that you're leaving behind on the table. So usually it's just a paid service. People actually need to create an account and pay a balance for it, etc. But we would give people who come through the Galaxy campaign, we'll give $20 off free credit to use this service. So you can now literally go there, create a free account, sign up, put Galaxy as a company that you're kind of like belong to, and you'll get $20 of free credit to use to this service in order for your transaction not to get front run and to pick up the value that you're leaving behind you as back run. And third, especially if you're in the NFT space, then you could go and use our NFT trader. Okay, basically we're creating gas protected transaction. So a lot of people create a transaction, but they pay, pardon my language, but okay, I'll keep it civilized. They pay a lot for their NFT mints or whatnot transactions. And then they fail, okay? Like the entire thing happened and they're kind of like you just lose money on it. And so in order to avoid that, you could use the NFT trader. If the transaction doesn't go through, it won't execute. Okay, that transaction won't actually execute. You won't pay the fees for it. And so the NFT trader is like a paid service. But again, you could go try it out, use the campaign and get $25 off NFT trader credit. Again, sign up as Galaxy in the kind of like sign up page and get basically free money. Okay, like you get $25 of credit in order to up your NFT game, and you could give it a try and you could see what it looks like and what it feels like, etc. So these are the four offerings. We said three offerings: the DexGuard, the Fast Protect, and the NFT trader.
Gotcha. And so I think that's my question before we close the stage. But I do have one specifically for Uri, given your experience in the space. So how do you think the landscape will change with the upcoming merge and also POS? What advice can you give to our audience, especially when interacting with crypto, how to be a successful trader?
So I have a few pieces of advice here. I think the first would be, like, trading is nice, but go join a team and build something. Why? Because you'll make way more money that way. Okay, like basically on trading, you'll, maybe you can 10x your investment, okay, or something like that. But it depends on really how. But then it becomes a capital game, right? Like maybe you can put $10,000 into crypto, and maybe you can 10x it in the next cycle, right? You timed it pretty good, and you did that. But then you're still behind. Like you won't be able to make $1 million out of it, let alone $10 million, let alone more money than that. So play your trading game, like up your game, do all of that, but do all of that while also building something which is substantial. Okay, basically it would pay you. most people I know who build something kind of they're trading on one hand and they're also building on the other. And it's kind of like, well, good thing that I'm a builder because I make way more money building compared to the money I'm losing on being a trader. Okay, so it's kind of like on traders, you sometimes win, you sometimes lose, but you're competing with really good other traders. So it's very hard to time the market, et cetera, et cetera. So advice number one is that in addition to everything that you do, use your expertise and go and build something. If you're trading on DeFi, that means that by definition, you can go to the teams of people building the product that you're using, and you can say, well, I want to help, right? It's kind of like if you're using the product, you're already way ahead of most people, and kind of like, okay, what needs to be better? What's helpful? What's not helpful, etc. So that's advice number one. Mm-hmm. Advice number two, there's some FUD about POS and how it would play out. And I'm not arguing, there are some dangers there because there are always some dangers. But it's kind of like, this is happening. And the day after it would be like, well, what changed? And the real answer is going to be nothing. Okay, everything's going to stay the same. Ethereum is going to continue working, technically slightly different. The only major shift would be all of a sudden, all the miners would no longer be able to mine Ethereum and would start mining somewhere else. So all the people who argue against NFTs and how they're ruining the world and how it's terrible, right? And this is the worst thing ever. All of a sudden, we'll have a better answer to them. We'll say, "Oh, no, Ethereum doesn't hurt the global global warming and whatnot and hurting the environment." So that's going to be, and it is important, okay? It's going to have a lot of significant within like 2 or 3 years. But today, the day after, it's kind of like, what changed? Nothing. Ethereum is going to continue work as it is working right now. And it's like, okay, we managed to save quite a lot of electricity being wasted for that. Mm-hmm. And immediately after that, they're going to start mining on other chains, which are still using proof of work, but it's going to be a disappearing landscape. You're going to have ASICs on Bitcoin as long as Bitcoin exists, but everything else, this is going to diminish over time. So I wouldn't bet on it. Definitely wouldn't bet on another chain to be valuable because people are mining it. That makes zero sense. So that's maybe point number two. And point number three, if you're fairly new to crypto, and this is the first time you move from a bull market to a bear market, then kind of like this is how it works. Okay, it's kind of like there's going to be a bull market. Now there's going to be a bear market, and then there's going to be another bull market, and there's going to be another bear market. And the first time you experience it, I remember and I think it was in 2017 and kind of like January of 2018, there was a second there that on paper, I was fairly rich, especially compared, I was a PhD student. So it's kind of like it's very easy to be richer than a PhD student. But for a minute there, I was very, very wealthy. And then all of a sudden I wasn't. So it's kind of like, okay, you learn and it's kind of like next time, better. Next time you're like, you're going to take and cash out some as you go along, etc. But crypto isn't going anywhere, and DeFi is definitely not going anywhere. And NFTs are just starting to scratch the surface, etc. There are going to be new cool chains, like we had like Terra and Solana and Avalanche, etc. This like really exploded during this bull market, and there are going to be other chains which are going to explode in the next bull market. And
Terra.
Exploded in the context of like skyrocketing. Terra, if you bought Luna in 2021, you're a genius. But if you held Luna in 2022, then you're under, right? Mm-hmm. So you're 6 feet under. So basically, if you're fairly new to crypto, take it in stride. It's kind of like, this is how it's being played out. The upward trend is very, very clear. If everybody who had been a while for now knew the bear market was coming, although I was expecting it like a year sooner than that. Some people expect it to be like 6 months later than that. So nobody knows to time it. But take it in stride. The ecosystem is fine. The world isn't collapsing. Don't take price too seriously. Hey, it's going to go up and down and up and down. It's like it has zero implications on the long term. Stack crypto along the way and build something cool, and you'd be a much happier person.
Gotcha. And I would really like to just double down on what you mentioned on the first point. I do recommend a lot of people to join in the projects that you support, either being a moderator on the Discord, or if you have tech background, join in the team. It's not just that you're going to pay you either through tokens or fiat. It's just that you're directly involved in the space. When people say that we are in a bear market, usually, for me personally, I don't think that we are.
I totally agree with you.
Just looking into what the ecosystem, the builders are pushing out every day, new developments, new progress, new achievements. It's very hard to say that we are in a bear market. I will only say that we're facing some price correction in a sense, because sometimes the market is definitely overheated, especially with what Luna and also Terra has brought into the market, to the DeFi space. But looking back into it, when you're directly involved in the space, sometimes you'll see you'll get more insights, right? Sometimes you'll understand what's up to come, etc. So definitely encourage you all to join in the space. And
let me add a bit to this. So first, I agree with you, right? It's kind of like, or we're not in a crazy bull market where everybody are like making up like stuff that nobody really understand and price them before anything was launched, price them at $100 million without blinking. Okay, so like in that sense, we're not in a crazy bull market. But on the point, well, if you're an engineer, go join the team. With that, I disagree. It's not that just software engineers should be joining teams or everybody else have no value, and the only thing they could do is be, a community and kind of like, well, no, there's tons of value. On the business side, okay, and then you don't need to have an MBA or whatever in order. Like, generally speaking, engineers are terrible at thinking and understanding what the market wants. And if you're coming from actually using DeFi products, etc., you understand preps, you understand all sorts of stuff that the engineers building them have no idea what they're doing. So that's one thing. And the second thing is kind of like, there's too much to be done. And even like if they could, like some of the stuff, nobody has the bandwidth to actually do it. So if you're excited about DeFi and kind of like have been into it for a while and want to get more, then don't hesitate. One of the cool thing about DeFi and crypto is that like it's a super small ecosystem and everybody knows everyone. It's very easy to get down a rabbit hole, and before you know it, you know about something more than everybody else because you just read up about it. So yeah, you don't need a PhD in computer science for most stuff. Go there, reach out to the team, say like, oh, I'm super interested. Like, are there stuff that could be helpful? Like, go if it's a governance thing or like depending if it's a new project or an old project, but offer, come up with ideas, suggestions, and before you know it, who was it? Naval. Naval was saying that like, if you work somewhere and you act as the owner, then within 2 years you'll be the owner. Okay, so it's basically like, come with ideas, suggest to do stuff. Before you know it, you are the team. Okay, this is like, it's not just a pretty facade or something like that. There's so much to be done, so little time, so few people. So if you're excited and you're curious, then these are the two traits that basically you need to get started, and these would take you very, very far.
Definitely. And I do think that being involved, getting your hands dirty, in a sense, sometimes apart from having some insights, you also see some of the problems that that the space currently have, and that might inspire you to be like Uri, to launch the next bloXroute. To be honest,
launch a wallet. Do me a favor. Get me a decent, like get me a wallet that solves all my problems. Okay, something like that. That's like intuitive for people who aren't crypto native.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to be honest, I was when we spoke about the risk of proof of stake, I thought that that would only I was expecting an answer like that risk would only exist if the users aren't using bloXroute. But yeah, so Uri, thank you so much for your time, and for those no problem, and for those fellow astronauts and also our community members. So basically, whoever have attended this particular Twitter space, bloXroute is actually giving out an oath, and I've already posted the link under the thread on Project Galaxy. So please fill in all the fields if you want to participate in bloXroute's DeFi educational campaigns, win NFTs, and with the NFT, you'll get one entry in a raffle for a chance to win 50 USDT prizes. And thank you so much, Uri. You've been such a great guest.
Thanks, man.
Hope to have you on our Discord as well. Perhaps we can arrange that within this week or the next week or so. But
let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. Have a good day.
Well, depending where you are in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Right. Goodbye then, everyone. Thank you so much for your continued support, and we hope to see you at the next one. Bye.